WACIF Radio. WACIF Radio. Behind the mind, we want to hear from people that find the time.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. We are Karen Baker.
And I'm Anthony Leonard.
We're the hosts of Behind the Mind Radio Show on WACIF Radio. We're powered by Ethical Electric.
Yes.
We are live on YouTube. Hello, everybody, on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Everybody here in the audience, we also welcome you. We also ask you, pull out your phones, go to BTM Radio Show on Twitter, tweet out that we are live on YouTube. So those that can make it, because we have listeners all around the world.
All over the world, right.
Yeah, that actually listening to our show, get an opportunity to hear these wonderful speakers, CEOs, business owners that we have here.
Design thinkers.
Exactly. On the stage coming up very shortly. We want to get the opportunity to thank, again, our radio station, WACIF Radio. It's WACIFradio.com. We want to thank Social Art and Culture, Impact Hub DC, and Wake.
And thank you so much for coming. And
yeah,
taking
absolutely.
time out of your day to hear these amazing speakers that we have.
Yeah, you know, we decided to do this live show as we season on WACIF Radio.
Years.
Yeah, 5 years. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's been a long road, but we're still here.
That's right, we're still here. So, you know, when we sat down, we wanted to figure out who would be best about rethinking business. And we came up with these wonderful 6 CEOs who have been doing really non-traditional ways of doing their business, helping other businesses as well out here in this global thing
market,
that we have.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. So,
and also taking something that could be something normal to anybody, but putting their own spin on it too. So a lot of the people that we're going to be talking to today have put their own spin on something traditional and made it
Correct. So without further ado, we want to start with the first person.
We're going to have Natalie Foley.
Peer insight. You can clap.
Absolutely.
Now, very few people have been on our show twice.
Yes.
And
There's
Natalie is one of them. I think she's one of them. So you know we must really love her, right? The thing that impressed me most about Natalie, you'll see it when she comes on stage, is not her humble approach and spirit, but when we asked her one of our Behind the Mind questions about what was your motto or affirmation, she did the song, This Little Light of Mine. I'm going to let it shine. And that stuck with me for a very long time. So you all welcome to the stage, Natalie Foley.
Okay, thank y'all. Can y'all hear me okay? I think I'm the first one testing out the mic. Awesome. Thank you for having me, Karen and Anthony. It's always to be here today and listen to some of the other speakers and hear y'all's questions, just be part of the conversation. What I loved about this event is the word rethink, right? It's such a fun word because it conjures up possibilities, it conjures up pivots, it conjures up shifting, right? And that's really what drew me to design thinking. That's one of the things that I'm here to talk with y'all about today and hopefully give you some tips that you can take back with you. Because design thinking is really a problem-solving toolkit that completely changed the way that I think about business and specifically approach moving into the unknown and moving and working towards innovation. That's what we do in our organization, is help big organizations be more innovative and be more entrepreneurial and help entrepreneurs do the same thing, obviously. And so what was interesting about design thinking, one of the things that first kind of drew me to it, is it made me rethink a mindset that I had. So it started with the thought of, I like being right. Who doesn't like that? But if you're a small business owner or you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to wake up every day and think, gosh, is my idea really right? I mean, am I really going to make this thing happen? And if you're a big organization and you're moving your strategy to a new direction, it's hard to really have that confidence to know I am right. And so for me, design thinking relieved that pressure, right? I mean, most of us have that pressure our whole lives, right? We want to do right, we want to be right, we want to serve other people well. But in this world that's changing so fast, it's hard to have that confidence, right? I mean, you've got Marriott, who, never probably in a million years would have looked at a startup like Airbnb and said, I'm going to be competing against this place that started by people sleeping on each other's couches, right? Now they've got to keep up with Airbnb. And you've got Amazon starting with a place that just sold old textbooks, and now they're the #2 retailer of apparel in the U.S., right? That's phenomenal. So how can you wake up and think that your new strategy for your small business is going to, in 10 years, be the right thing to do, right? And you want to do right by it. So for me, design thinking meant I don't have to be right anymore. I need to listen really well to my customers and the marketplace. They'll tell me what's right. But if I don't listen, I'll be wrong, right? And so that design thinking has really kind of shifted that and relieved me of the pressure of I have to have all the answers. Even though I went to business school and they told me I did have all the right answers and I was really smart, you do these cases and you think, oh, here's your scenarios of business. What would you do if you were a CEO? And you raise your hand, you're like, oh, I'd do this. And you sound really right. Deep down, you're like, well, some of these problems I know and some of them I don't know. How in the world am I going to tackle these messy social challenges? I don't really feel like I might have the confidence to move into that unknown. So that was what design thinking gave to me, and I want to share a little bit with that with y'all. So first slide for whoever's, yeah. So just to kind of put it in perspective, this is how it sits in my brain. Business school and the way we're taught generally to solve problems is in that middle bucket. It's analytical, linear thinking. Go through your data, sort it out, write up your little business plan, it'll all flow exactly as it's planned, right? This kind of, it's a good way to think, but it's not always optimized for the unknown. It's optimized for more problems that you know a little bit about. So you know you lost your customer and you know you want them back, right? That might be more of an analytical thinking. You use that type of problem solving to solve that type of problem. It's good because at least you know you lost your customer and at least you know you want them back. But a lot of times for y'all might be entrepreneurs or small business. You're like, I don't know who my customer is. I have a brand new business model. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm moving into a new market, or I'm trying to solve a social problem that no one's done before, right? So how do I mean, is that analytical thinking really going to help me? And what I found in business school is I didn't feel like I had the right toolkit for those types of challenges that were completely brand new. So I needed a new process. And that's what design thinking is. It's optimized for innovation. It's optimized for that unknown, right? Because there's so much certainty. Can you go 2 slides for me, please? Awesome. I know it's fun to start the day off with graphs, right? I mean, it's so fun. I'm sure I saw Randy had some cool pictures, and I got this graph. But how it puts it into perspective for me is when you start, a lot of our clients will come with questions, right? Brand new ideas. Hey, I'm a major shoe manufacturer, and I want to try out the idea of a shoe as a service, not as a product. Okay, that's a pretty big question mark, right? And that path down to reality, this is the ideal curve, right? But you want to make your idea actually move into reality, but you're starting with the unknown, you're starting with the big question. We have some of our clients that'll come and say, gosh, I build and stand up senior care facilities and assisted living facilities, and no one wants to move into them, right? They want to stay in their place, right? Your parents and your grandparents, they don't want to move somewhere. They want to stay at home. So how do we pivot as a huge organization to bring technology and sensors into someone's home and help them stay? That's a question mark, right? They don't know they're right. They've never done this before. They've, for 100 years, literally built facilities and then cared for people in those. That's a huge, or even in my organization, as I think about something new, none of our employees love their performance measurement systems they've had in the past, right? Who's ever enjoyed, filling out those little forms if you ever worked in a big business? It's not fun, right? So I thought, okay, let's make a new performance measurement system that's never happened before. And you can see, even in those examples, this isn't like you can use this model and design thinking for the smallest thing that you're doing, but it's simply saying, if you're starting with a question, you don't really know where to go, design thinking really helps you with that first bucket. And what it is you have, what makes it the unknown and what makes it scary is that that y-axis of risk, right? You're starting out with an x-axis of investment. You have limited time and limited money. When that risk is highest, you want to be spending the smallest amount of money. Big money and dollars spent, you're confident in your idea, right? So this is about creating confidence and certainty and when you're moving into complete unknown, which is mostly what y'all are doing as entrepreneurs. Actually, you can just go to the next slide for right now. So that's what design thinking is, kind of moving. Oh, you could just go to the main slide. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So that's the kind of design thinking and where it sits, right? So I'll give y'all 4 principles that we use in design thinking that y'all can use. So your kind of call to action from me today is, let's take April and y'all can do one of these each week, right? It's not hard. You don't have to be mastering it, but just kind of start out and put your toe in the water. The first one is empathy, and if y'all have heard of design thinking, you know a lot about it, this is one of the core principles. It sounds really simple, right? Be a good human, listen to other people, meet them where they are. But empathy is a lot more about, a lot of times entrepreneurs and small business owners think they know their customer because they work with them every day, or they're the customer, right? Like, maybe it's Randy's like, I like this watch. Doesn't everybody like the watch? So empathy is really kind of going out, putting your ideas to sell what you're doing, and not even asking them into the patient portal, and that's a problem. And so the Mayo Clinic's like, okay, cool, let's get our IT department on it, we'll shave off and move on. And then next year, same thing, it comes up on the survey. And after the third year, they're like, okay, go and watch somebody. If the patient comes in, I have to turn my back. Right? Meanwhile, they spend. It might look totally different when you come out the other side. And so that's something that you see when we went out to do the senior care, and we're talking about trying to get into seniors' homes and maybe use technology. We had a huge assumption that elders would not want like sensors all over their house, even though we knew medically it was great, right? If you can track people's patterns, sometimes you can predict medical conditions that would force them to go to the hospital and ultimately enter a nursing home. So we're like, we know this is great, the sensors are great, but your grandparents or parents, they don't want all these high, fangled, sensors everywhere watching you and Big Brother type of thing. That was an assumption we had, but we had 30 days and we were gonna go figure out if that was an assumption, because otherwise we were gonna completely try and build around that. And what we found was that elders didn't care as much. They had other things that they cared much more about than this, and plus if they had their adult child there and that person kind of weighed in, they were completely okay with it. But if we hadn't gone and done that test and kind of treated it as a hypothesis, we'd still be building something around that assumption that's actually untrue. And so it helped us build even better. And then we had to iterate more, because now we've realized that adult child that's taking care of their mom or dad is actually a much bigger part of that. So we ended up designing a system for that person instead of the elder. So as you pivot, you're kind of constantly sort of setting up a hypothesis, getting your data, and then moving on. And so again, that's that point of like, I don't have to be right. I just have to run this experiment. I have 30 days, I have $2,000, and I can let other people tell me what's right. It takes the pressure off of you as an entrepreneur, right, to just kind of sell your idea and hope and keep your fingers crossed that it's right? In 5 years, you'll make so much money. So iterating is a huge part of what we do in design thinking. The third one is visualize. What's fun is we live in a world, people have their whiteboards out and stuff. It's so much better than let me write up a 20-page paper and PDF it, and then you can read it all. Everybody wants to engage much more in a picture. But when you're running those tests and you're getting out there and trying to get people's feedback, they do not want to read a 20-page PDF, right? They want to sketch. And the more you can kind of draw and visualize your idea, and you don't have to be a graphic designer, just something simple, really brings people in. Again, the test is not about making it look cool. It's about eliciting feedback. So the more you can have something that tells a story, people see themselves in that story, the more they'll be like, oh no, this is not my story. Like here, let me mark this up for you and give you some feedback. Because that's what you need, right? Again, you're getting them to tell you what's right so that you don't have to be right. But if you don't give somebody something they really want to engage with and kind of jump in and mark up and tweak and make better, then your little 20-page PDF will keep cycling as the real deal, just because people don't feel like reading it all or engaging with it. And so drawing something out is really a good way to help people co-create, which is the fourth word. It's kind of a buzzy type of word, but what it really means is getting somebody to engage, your customer to engage with you and make it better. And so especially if you can visualize something, they'll jump in. And when you say, hey, here's a prototype, and you can make a prototype of a service too. It might be a little bit harder, but it's really critical. If you give somebody that red pen and mark it up, that's invaluable feedback. And you might be thinking, if you have a business that's B2B, your small business owner would be like, I am not playing your little games with your papers and your sketches, right? And we definitely the first couple of times I went on a research, I'm like, these factory workers are not going to want to play see this little sketch of my idea, right? They're used to like, here's your fancy, visuals and your slide portfolios and stuff. But what it is, it brings about a completely different conversation. We worked with the Hartford a long time ago to try and develop a new service around insurance for commercial fleets, right? So these are tough shipping guys. They're busy. They don't have time to sit down with you. And we had made these little cards of sketches of different things that might be important to them. And the thought was, hey, y'all sort out these cards and play around with them and tell me what's important to you. And the first one, like, no one's going to want to play these cards with me. We learned so much more about those than we ever would have if we had just come in and been like, we have this new idea. What do you think? They've been like, yeah, it's cool. And our assumption was all they cared about was saving money, right? It's a small business fleet, running some fleets. By them sorting these cars, we actually figured out this product we never would have imagined, this would be a benefit of it, is actually, we thought it just kind of save money by eliminating bad driving, but actually they wanted to incentivize it for good driving and kind of link it to this training program and use it as a retention play for some of their best drivers. We had never thought that would be a possibility. But when you do these little card sorts, people think it's a game and they kind of talk more openly than they would if you come in with like a formal sales pitch and they come back with you with like a formal like, yeah, it looks good, right? So you get people playing and interacting. So that co-creating and really bringing your customer in for something that's engaging and giving them that red pen and saying, hey, mark it up. So that's my ask of y'all. So spend April kind of maybe 1 week each month getting visual. So sketch something out that you normally would want to like pull up your Word document and start knocking out in that. Just get a piece of paper and do your best to kind of sketch it out. Co-create, ask a customer to come with you and be like, hey, what do you think? Don't sell it. Just say, hey, you mark it up. What do you think of this? Empathy, get out of your office, get out of your boardroom, and go and watch people and observe them kind of in their real space, and then iterate. Find one thing about your business idea or in a small business that you want to test, that you're just not sure about, right? That you're kind of hanging your hat, like, I hope I'm right on this. Don't hope about it. Just set it up as a hypothesis and go out and figure out what you need to learn to answer it either way. So thank y'all for being here today. I look forward to meeting y'all and your conversations too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for talking about design thinking in a business aspect. We talk about it a lot educationally, but taking it into business and into action is really needed. Thank you so much. So once again, don't forget to retweet Rethinking About Design. We want to hear from you, your thoughts. Please be sure to get everybody active and participating. So next we're going to have Randy Williams come up of Tally and Twine. His product is absolutely amazing. He's rethought how watches could be created. And so from that, he has small leather goods, and he's going to be talking about crowdfunding and capital on that. So I'm going to get him to come up in a few seconds to really talk to you guys about how he thought about something that he loves, which is watches, and then turning that into his business now, which is Tally and Twine. So when you're ready, Randy, we're ready for you.
Thank you guys for having me. And really enjoyed what Natalie had to say about iteration, man. It's I think what we'll learn today is that business never goes the way you think it's going to go. There's always all these variables. And as an entrepreneur, you just have to embrace those changes. Even with the event today, we had to embrace the changes that came to us. I'm sure you guys been getting stuff thrown at you all week. So we got to embrace those changes. That's a part of it. So we got to just enjoy it, embrace it, and learn to have fun with those changes. Now, 3 years ago, I was on my lunch break at my corporate job, and while driving back from my lunch break, I got this bright idea. I looked down at the watch I had, and I said, man, I would change this, and I would move this around. And what's the first thing you do as a married man when you have a bright idea? You call your wife. So I called my wife, and I said, baby, I got this idea about starting my own watch company. What do you think? And she paused for a second, which kind of scared me. And then she said, sure, go for it. Now, I don't know if this was one of those consolation go for it's where I don't want to hurt your feelings, or if she really believed that I could do it. But I rushed back up to my office on that day, and I began to sketch out what would become Tally and Twine Watch Company. I had no idea how I was going to do it. And one of the biggest, after I got all of the details down, I got the design the way I wanted it, I got the prototype, I got the samples from the factory. Now I had to figure out a way to actually pay for this large shipment of watches that I was going to sell. And how was I going to do that? So through my research the class that I took at Google University, I was able to find out people were getting all of this money. They were making millions online with something called Do It. And I was able to raise over $25,000 to start my company. And I've also used crowdfunding after that to grow my company, to buy more inventory. And today, I'm going to show you the 4 things that I've learned. Next slide. I'm going to show you the 4 things that I've learned through crowdfunding. The great thing is, I've already made the mistakes for you guys. So I'm going to show you the mistakes that I made and what I could have done better so that your crowdfunding campaign can be money for your business. And that's the beautiful thing about crowdfunding. It does so many things, and I hope we'll be able to get into it. But for now, I'm going to stick to the 4 things that I've learned. There's a quote that I have used in my business from time to time, and crowdfunding for your business is a perfect example of this. The quote says, "Build a bridge before you need it." Build the bridge before you need it. I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, what we do is we come up with this great idea in the closet at our home, and then we say, "Hey, look, I got something that I want to sell," and nobody wants it. So part of crowdfunding is building that bridge of customers or potential customers who are likely to buy your product and getting that feedback from them so that you can either make the product better or sell more of that product. So when it comes to crowdfunding, I hope you guys have your pens out, because I'm going to give you some really detailed things about how you can build that audience initially if you're thinking about using crowdfunding to start your business. All right? The first thing you want to do is, I'm making some assumptions here, is that if you're doing crowdfunding, you really don't have capital sitting around, a pile of cash sitting around to try out and experiment on business. She's shaking her head, no, I don't. So I'm making the assumption that you're strapped for cash. So that being said, you're going to be using free platforms as much as possible. And for me, those platforms were social media. So using social media, one common mistake that people make is they try to be on every platform at the same time, especially when you're starting out. I'm making another assumption, that you don't have a large team of people working with you. All right? So if you're the only person doing it, you want to make sure that you can do it effectively. So I'd rather be like a laser and be focused on one area and dominate that area than be spread around and just be so-so on all the platforms. So the first thing you want to do is take a look at your business and take a look at who's likely to buy your product. So I'm assuming that you would know who your target market is. If you haven't thought about this, think about who's likely to buy your product. Who is it for? Because that helps you shape everything from the design to the marketing. So who is it for and where are they? Where are those potential customers? I'll give you an example. Let's say you're selling a kitchen appliance for moms. The best platform for you to use would likely be Pinterest. It's predominantly women. A lot of women go there to find out cool ways of doing things, recipes, things of that nature. So you're likely to find your target market there. It might be a good idea to focus on Pinterest. For myself, I focus on Instagram because I knew that fashion-conscious men were there. They were already together. They already had a sense of community. They are already finding and identifying new products. I was finding out about new products through that same venue. And so I knew that Instagram would present the best opportunity for me to focus and find that target market. Also, consider your product. Is your product more of a visual product? You know, with Instagram, it's pictures and video. So if you want to be able to show off your product, this is a great way to do it. So figure out which social media platform is going to be the best showcase for your idea, your product. All right? So that's part one of the audience. Number two, once you're there on the platform, you got to create content that your audience is likely to like and engage with. So it doesn't have to always be about your product, just something that's related to the product or related to something that the target market might like. So take a look at, for myself, let's say I wanted to show off my watch, but guys who like this watch may also enjoy pictures of men's suits or shoes or maybe travel. Who knows? So think about your product. Think about that average day of that typical consumer and think about what they would likely be doing. And that will help you develop what content you would be posting. In addition to posting good content, now it's time to collaborate, okay? So now everybody's heard the buzzword influencers. social media influencers. I have a different definition of influencers from most people. To me, an influencer is not a celebrity. It's not a Kanye or Kim Kardashian with millions of followers. To me, an influencer is somebody who has 2, 3, 4,000 followers, and they get a few hundred likes on all of their posts. They have high quality images. These are people that have created their own little community inside of these platforms, and they may not be a superstar, they may not be a celebrity, but they are influential in what they do, and people go to them, whether they know it or not, to see what their opinion is. Usually these people have not already been posting anything that's sponsored. You know, they're just a person who enjoys doing a certain type of thing, and they post about it. So that being said, I encourage you to reach out to those people at the influencer level that is attainable and say, hey, look, I'm developing this new product. It helps you create ramen noodles in the microwave. I'm sure everybody heard about that. And I'm wondering if you can promote it for me. In exchange, I'll give you X amount of this product for free. Or if you have money, give them X amount of dollars. For me, I just exchanged the product in exchange for the promotion. I said, hey, look, during the campaign, I want you to post this many times per week about your audience. Use this hashtag and post the link in your bio. And surprisingly, most of the people that I contacted about it were willing to do it for no cost. They just wanted the product. So that's the first part of building your audience. So take a look at that social media strategy. Nail down the actual platform that you're going to use that's best for you, that you can dominate, and then contact those influencers on that platform to help you spread the message. So what you're doing right now is you're just creating that spider web of influence and getting the message out further than you'll be able to do it yourself. Next slide. Second thing is going to be visuals. Now, Kickstarter themselves, this is the platform that I use, by the way. We have the two popular platforms are going to be Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Kickstarter says that they recommend that you have a video for your project, all right? And this was way back when, so I'm sure it's really mandatory at this point. Everybody likes video, but why is video such a good thing when you're looking to raise crowdfunding money? It's a good thing because video allows you the best opportunity to tell your story. So think about that. What is a better platform than showing people a 2-3 minute video about what you're doing and why you're doing it? So the next thing I'm going to give you is a story framework for you to tell the story of your business. All right? Here's an example. All stories have a beginning, middle, and end. All right? In the beginning, you have a person who has a problem. In the middle, they go through a change, and in the end, they come out victorious. This is the model for every story, every movie that you've ever seen, every story that you've ever heard. So taking a look at that story framework, how can you put your product into it? Okay, I have a 10-month-old daughter, so I'm going to use her as an example. And in the beginning, I love sitting at home, and I'm watching TV, but I can't keep an eye on my 10-month-old. She's crawling all over the place. What am I going to do? Try Randy's wall barriers. They keep your kid locked in so they can't move to the next room without you seeing them. Wow, what a solution. Wow. Now I'm able to watch my favorite TV shows and not have to worry about where my daughter is, beginning, middle, and end. Just that simple. Sounds like every infomercial that you ever heard, right? All right, so insert your product. What is your product? What's the problem that the consumer is likely to face? How are you going to help them overcome that product? And then what is their life going to look like on the other side of that once they overcome that challenge? Just that simple. So having a story allows you to connect with people on a different level. It's actually been proven that story bypasses the part of the brain, the reasoning part of the brain. This is why some people cannot stop shopping on HSN. You know, they sit there and they listen to the stories about how the people are using it, and they don't even know. They got a pile of stuff in the closet that's never been opened. It's still in the boxes, but they can't. This is why people still order from infomercials. You know, it's $19.99, but wait, there's more. I'll double it and send you my Social Security number in the mail if you buy it now for $20. And you're like, wow, I can't pass this up. Story is so effective that I encourage you to use it in every aspect of your business. And once I found out about this, and not only used it in my campaign, but also use it every day. And in all of my marketing, I try to tell story because people love story. It's just something that helps you connect. The other thing that story does is it adds credibility. So if you're raising money through crowdfunding, people don't know you, they never heard of you or the company that you're trying to start, and honestly, they could care less about you having a successful company. They want to know if your product is going to do what they need it to do for them. All right? So taking a look at that, the video allows you to build trust with that audience. All right? So you say, hey, look, I know you don't know me, you don't know my company, but look, this is what my product does, this is what it's going to do, and I'm going to send it to you. So looking at that, think about the quality of your video and how you can make it convincing. So if I shoot it on my phone, I know phones are advanced, but if I shoot it on my phone and the camera is shaking and the lighting is dark, the person on the other end is going to say, this is probably not a high quality product. If this is the amount of focus and attention that you put into your video, then you're probably going to put that focus and attention into your product as well. All right, that's why video is so important. So do what you need to do to get a quality video, whether it be hiring someone. You can also barter for your video. I actually got my father-in-law to shoot me for my Kickstarter campaign. Use all the tools that you can, but luckily there are a lot of high-quality options on the market now that you can do that and you can tell your story. And also, as an asterisk to this, during the campaign, you want to make sure you have high-quality graphics and design on the page as well that tell the story as people go through. This is something also that you can hire a graphic designer, make sure that it looks professional, and compare it to the pages where you shop at. Where do you shop, and what does their stuff look like? And just copy that. Make sure it looks professional when you're going into it, because in the consumer's mind, you need to make sure that you're able to build that trust. Next slide. The third thing would be the product. Take a good look at your product and ask yourself a question. Is it a good fit for this platform? So, for example, Kickstarter has a lot of products that are technology related. The biggest categories that do well in Kickstarter are technology or design. All right, so if you have a book of poetry, maybe Kickstarter is not the best place for you to get that done. All right, so think about the platform and which platform is going to be best. And you can do that by just researching what other projects have been successful on that platform. Who has done well in my category? So taking a look at their category. For myself, I knew that other watch projects were successful on Kickstarter, so I knew I had a pretty good chance. I knew the audience that was going there would likely be looking for those types of products, so I knew it would be a good fit. So look at the platform and see if it's going to be a good fit for your exact product. The other thing about having the right product is making sure that you're getting it in front of the right people at the right time. So having a product, integrity issue involved with crowdfunding is that some people try to make a product, but they don't really have it made. They lead you on to believe that it's further along than it really is. So make sure that your reputation is on the line here. So make sure that you actually have a working product before you try to raise funds for it. Because if you don't have a working product, contrary to what everybody says on Kickstarter, and even Kickstarter says it themselves, Kickstarter is a store. You know, these places are stores. People are just taking a risk, and they're getting a longer time before they actually go out and get that product. But it's still a store. People want the product that they get. Nobody wants to just give you money and never get anything in return. So Kickstarter is a store. So keeping that in mind, make sure your product is developed enough so that you are at the point of manufacture so that you can just raise money and go to the next stage. Next slide. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is going to be marketing. I mentioned earlier to build a bridge before you need it. Contrary to popular belief, this is going to hurt some people's feelings. Kickstarter and other crowdfunding sites will not drive traffic to your project. They're not going to create the visibility that you need to be successful. You're going to have to do it yourself. Think of these sites as gasoline, but you have to start your own fire. Does that make sense? You have to create a fire and a buzz for your product, and then Kickstarter, Indiegogo, the other crowdfunding sites will pour gasoline on that and help you get to heights that you couldn't have gone to by yourself. So how do we market this product? Well, for myself, first of all, in addition to the social media that I told you guys about, we have that going. There's another piece that I left off about social media, so I want to talk about it now. You're not just building a following on social media, you're building it so that you can contact these people when the project launches, all right? So all of your links should lead back to your website. It should lead to a landing page where you can capture their email address, phone number, other important information, so that you can text them or email them when the project is live, all right? So what I did is I created a landing page that just said Tally and Twine. It had pictures of the product. It said, if you want to learn more about this product, then enter your email address and we'll contact you when we're getting ready to launch. And I was able to get 300 or 400 email addresses that way. So this is what you should be doing all the time leading up to that campaign. This will take 6 months to a year. I know that's contrary to what most of you may have heard. This takes time. You know, there are some things that you can't rush. It takes 6 months to a year, ideally, to get an audience big enough to give you that initial boost that you need for the marketing aspect of your campaign. What you'll find on these crowdfunding sites is that they reward people who have driven traffic to the sites and who have created buzz and who have reached their target quickly, all right? So if I have 1,000 people on my email list, I send it out, 200 of those people respond to it, they all buy the product on that day, it spikes me, and now I'm only a few $100s away from my goal. Now those sites are likely to promote me because they know that I'm going to reach my goal. Also, people are also more likely to support your campaign because they know that you're going to reach your goal because you've got this initial spike. So like I said, think of these sites as gasoline. You're creating the fire yourself. Another thing that I did, now I know this is unconventional, and this could get you unfriended, but I messaged every person on my friend list on Facebook. I have 2,000 friends. At the time I had like 2,000 something friends. If you get offended that I say, hey, I just launched a Kickstarter campaign for a new product, I want to know what you think about it. You know, would you mind checking it out? Link. If you get offended by that, I don't want you to talk to me anyway. So why are you collecting all of these friends if we can never interact in any way? And I hate to be the person that's always asking for stuff, but I'm not asking directly. I'm just saying, hey, check it out. If it's something for you, okay. If not, spread the word to somebody who might be interested in it. Now, this is not something I would do every day. I've only done it that one time, but I think this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of it because, number one, it's free, and number two, it may take a little work, but the reward is going to be better in the end. So a lot of those people responded to it, and they were able to support my campaign. Some people responded years later and said, hey, man, I remember when you launched it, man, you're doing so good. I'm going to buy one for my husband, things of that nature. So I recommend contacting everybody on your friend list. There are some services that will message everybody on your friends list for you. Green Inbox, I believe, is one of those services that will actually send a message to those people if you can't do it manually. But take advantage of those friends. So on your social media, this is when you got to get to work. You've got to go commenting, you've got to post, you've got to like, you've got to get in there, and this is a whole job in and of itself during that campaign. So during those 30 days, you're getting the word out as much as possible. You don't have time to do anything else, but make sure that you reach this funding goal on the campaign. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to bring the traffic to your project, and then people will come, and that allows your project to be a little bit more successful. So just to do a quick review, number one, it starts with building the audience, figure out where you're going to be, what's going to be the most effective place for you to be. The second thing is your visuals. You want to make sure they're professional. Tell that story of your company in that video and through the words and the graphics on your page. The third thing is going to be the product, making sure you have the right product, making sure that it's ready. And then the last thing is going to be marketing. You have to bring the people to where you are so that after you've created that fire, you can pour gasoline on it and reach your crowdfunding goal. And I look forward to answering more questions that you guys might have later.
Thank you, Randy. This is why I told you I was so impressed with him when we interviewed him last year. And I was like, immediately after we interviewed him, I'm like, you must be part of this when we do it. So again, thank you all for coming to ReThink Business Colloquium. Remember that we are at BTM Radio Show on Twitter. We're at BTM Radio Show on Facebook. If you're tweeting, you can use the hashtag ReThinkBiz, B-I-Z, as you tweet. I hope you are tweeting. You know, Facebook, I like Facebook. I don't really care for it too much on a business end. I'm just going to put that out there. But Twitter, you're talking about platform? That's my platform. So how's it so far for you all? Are you enjoying it? Thank you, DC, for being willing to be part of it. They both said this was a no-brainer for them. We needed to continue to have businesses look at rethinking. The world has changed. Non-traditional ways of business are becoming a way of doing business. So we wanted to make sure that you all had the opportunity to hear these wonderful CEOs and what they had to offer. So the next person coming up is Paula Washington. She is an author of 4 books. She is an MBA. She is an executive and entrepreneur coach. We interviewed Paula last January for the first time. And after we interviewed her, I hired her as my own coach. So welcome to the stage, Paula Washington.
What's up behind the mind? We want to hear from people that find the time to think and create these fine designs.
Transition in your business. Well, my little bit about my background, I was in corporate America for about a little over 20 years. I was downsized 4 or 5 times. The last time I'm saying, okay, that's enough. We need to do something else. So at that time, I transitioned from corporate into entrepreneurship. Well, now I don't have a department. What happened to all the people that do what I tell them to do every day? That's not there. How about that? The mindset of that corporate person is no longer applicable in an entrepreneurial environment. So that was a major transition for me. Then there was a transition with the family, because now Christmas may come in July, could come September, it may not be in December. It just depends, because this is a new business, this is a new idea, and this is what real life looks like. So I had to talk to my family, talk with my daughter, and let her know that this is what life is going to be like the next couple of years. And moving forward, you're going to see the rewards. And as a little child would say in middle school, well, Mom, when you get rich, set me up. You know, oh yeah, I'm going to set you up, but you got to go to work. Okay, and first you're going to get on this phone, you're going to do my filing, you're going to do all of those things, and you're going to work for this when you get older. So let's start with the slides. So in transitioning your business and building your brand momentum, it's time to build. And what does that mean? It's time to get to work. You may work harder in your business than you work in anything else in your life, but it is the most rewarding, it is the most precious and joyful season in your life, because you are creating from the inside out. You're bringing everything that's inside out, and it's exciting for the company, and it's exciting for the people that you're working with. When you're talking about transitioning from one stage to another, when you first start, you're excited, you're telling everybody your idea, probably your vision and mission statement may not be quite refined, and as time goes on, you're going to get that refined, and it's going to move to the next level automatically. So give yourself the time to grow. Be patient and give yourself that time to grow. When you get to that stage where businesses start moving forward and your contracts will start coming in and your products and everything are really clear defined and your website is good, that's the time to go to the next slide. And this is to a business owner. Where should you spend your time? Now, when you're a new business, you're going to be most of the time at 4. Continue to understand where you're most effective, then you staff your weakness. Always look for the areas where you're not the strongest or where you shouldn't be. You should spend most of your time as a CEO and founder of your company on the executive level. They do the right thing. Now, your administrators and your managers and the people that do the work for you, they are gifted in those areas and they do it better than you. I remember one time I was we were getting ready to launch a big conference, and I'm in the back, I'm helping everybody out, and we're supposed to be doing this mailing and getting all these things together for the gift bags, all this stuff. And I go back there and I'm gonna take this project because after all, you know, I've managed events before, I've done this, I know how to do all of this. And I get back there and I messed it all up. I put the stuff for the speakers in the gift bags for the people that are attending and vice versa. And so my team fired me. They said, do not come back here again. What are you supposed to do? Well, I'm actually supposed to MC. Go do that. So what I'm saying is stay in your place and stay in your lane. And if you do that and you always remember where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and that you are the best at. I am the greatest as being a visionary. I'm the greatest at serving people as a coach or any of those areas where I have to lead. If they put me back down on the task now, at this stage, in 20 years in business now, I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the patience for a lot of things that I did then. And it's okay. There are people that are there to do that. I can employ them and give jobs and offer opportunities, and then I can teach them and then walk away, which is what I want to do, so that I can go out and do the things that I need to do. Time mastery. Learn how to master your time. And always remember where you're supposed to be. As your business grows, or even if you're in corporate, or you're transitioning in any area, you always know where you are when it comes to time. Next slide. Family business. Communication plus cooperation equals productive collaborations. I came up with this formula, about 15 years ago, when I first went through the transition into corporate, and then there was a family issue. My dad got sick. And so I'm in the hospital, I'm typing up a new business plan while he's in surgery. And everybody's just in a frenzy. So I communicated to everybody exactly what the situations are, how we're gonna handle everything, and how we're gonna move forward, and he's gonna be fine. Now, and you're working from home or an office or whatever, and people think you got time to talk to them. This is about making money. We're not here to have a conversation, or you sending me emails all day and all of these little quotes and all of this. No, it's about working. And so when you have a business and you are transitioning your business and you're growing in different areas, you have to be focused and share that with the people that are around you, whether it's your team, which is like a family, or whether it's your natural family, because they will automatically, my mom never saw me as a business owner. To this day, if she calls, well, why were you on the phone? Okay, Mom. Okay, she's 87, so I'm going to give her a pass. But we've been doing this, Mom, for about 19 years now. But that's just her. So she gets a pass. She can do that. You know, my daughter sometimes, Mommy, what you doing? What? Okay, you know, she's grown. She's 30. Why are you calling me? Figure it out, okay? You can do that. You're good. I taught you how to do that. So it's so important that we communicate and be honest with yourself and those that you're working with, give them the directives, help them understand, and then that way you will be able to collaborate not only with them, but outside. In your business, you're gonna be meeting so many people that wanna work with you. So many people are chasing me now because of the opportunities that both of my companies have been given. But communication, I understand the conversation I'm looking for and who I will support, and I understand the conversation of who I need to back away from or refer to someone else, because that's not our expertise. And see, these are things that are extremely important when you start to communicate properly. When you start to be able to have confidence and speak what you know is true, then those that you're working with or engaging with, they will respond accordingly. As these two talked about, you know, the different stages in their businesses and how they move from one place to another and another, they were very clear and concise about what they had to say. So they're not, the people that are gonna come to them are gonna come with value and sincere questions, because they're looking to move forward, they're looking to grow. So this formula I found over the last 15 years works exceptionally well in your understanding and being able to execute effectively. And that is actually a key. A major key in business is communication. You do not stay long-term in any environment unless you're able to communicate. Next slide, please. So, solopreneur to entrepreneur, that level of expansion, that is a major transition in your thought process. It's a major transition in your finances. It's a major transition in taking in risks. Taking risks is the largest thing we do as an entrepreneur. We do it every day. I remember when I went from the solopreneur into the next levels. And one with 2 companies I had several years ago, I was forced into that because I got this contract that blew everything up. Now, earlier I had gotten contracts that I really wasn't ready for, so that wasn't a good thing. But then when I did prepare and I made the adjustments, now when the big deals came, oh, we were ready. Had the team, had everything in place, and the company started to grow. And they automatically allowed me to be the entrepreneur or the business leader, the business owner that I need to be, where I could really empower those around me, which is what we're supposed to do. We're to help people to lead. The only way we can do that is to be in our place. So when you're looking from solopreneur to entrepreneur, count the costs, not only financially, but with your time. Realistically, can the brand stand expansion at this point? Is your brand promise of what you're delivering to the market, is it accurate? Are you able to do it? And with the expansion, what is it going to look like? Can the market stand that now, or is it for later? Should you do different components of it? And all these things. There's a lot of analysis that you have to do in order to expand your brand. And also as an entrepreneur, also as an entrepreneur as well, because it's a different mindset. If your business was making, we were talking earlier about the average business not making more than $70,000 and they've been in business for 10 years, that kind of mindset is not really the mindset that's going to take you up to enterprise level to hire employees. The average now with the SBA, $7 million business with a 500 employee is considered an enterprise. That's a small business. So where are you? You're over here. If you haven't even gotten to $1 million and you want to get to the middle or get to here, there's a lot of work you have to do financially in your mind and your processes and thinking, going from literacy to financial intelligence. Ultimately, you want financial independence. So that way, that allows you to turn around and help somebody else, bring other people along, set up business models where you can sell those or offer different opportunities to different people. So as a solopreneur, look and see how far you want to grow. Going into your business, what is the exit strategy? Having that exit strategy helps you understand how to build the different components in your business model in order to be able to make those transitions smoothly. Do I need education? Do I need to get different types of people to work with me and support me? Whatever those things are, those are questions that you need to answer. And what would help in those areas is to have a coach or a consultant or someone to come in and come alongside with you and say, now it's time to go to the next level. How do I do that? What position should I really have in this company? Because it might be that you may not be in the lead in some areas. You may need to be in another position because it just, when the company changes its growth cycle, your relevancy in certain areas may no longer be needed. So all of these things are things that you should consider. Next. Communication and vetting investors. This was a really fun opportunity for me. After being in business 19 years, and in 2013, I had an illness that I just shut everything down, closed all the businesses, and I said, okay, now it's time to look at me and what we're going to do for the rest of my life. And during that time, I went back to school and tested an idea for the companies that I've launched out now. And the investors came to me. I didn't ask for it. They came to me because the reputation and brand that I had in the market over the years yielded such good quality that when they saw me relaunch and they heard my story, oh, we'll put money behind that. Matter of fact, we're going to give you this, and then this one, we'll give you 2 over here. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. But it's been a whole year in building a internally strong organization in order to be able to handle the magnitude of what I'm getting ready to manage. Not only that, on the for-profit side with my other company, the same thing. So I had to step back and say, wait a minute, do I want I work with a lot of women in business. I have a program for women in business, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. And their unique opportunities for companies we're going to fund for 3 years and mentor. And then on the for-profit side, we're offering the same curriculum. So now, where we're talking about communication. When I'm being interviewed or asked questions, well, what are you doing? How are you going to do it? I said, well, we're doing this, we're doing that, da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, you're already doing it? Oh, yeah, I've been doing this for years. So how would you do it this level? And I kept talking. Well, the gentleman said, well, I think I'm going to introduce you to these people, but you need to ask for more. No problem. Oh, yes. When I got home, I realized the problem, because now I've got to build a structure around that. But it was okay, because those are the kind of problems you want to have. You want people to ask you for things. You want them to come and offer you things. Now, in vetting those investors, I had to learn a language. I had to learn how to communicate with them and which ones are the best ones for my company and for the companies that I'm going to support. And so there's a process in that. And so in communication, as a leader, the clearer you are and the more effective you are in communicating, you'll see that the benefits of that come back beyond anything you could ever imagine. Being an entrepreneur, being a visionary, is truly a walk of faith, because we take a risk every day. Now, I had both. I had the terminal illness, and I'm an entrepreneur. So faith, that's it. That's all I got. When I was laying there doing the process and going through all of that, which I did alternative, it was all about what I believed and what I knew inside of me as a person. And I'm like, I'm not finished yet. I got other things to do. So what do I do well? Let me take 35 years of business, put it into one product, and put it out in the market, and let me help people. And that was the goal. Because I understand, we all know you're in business to make money. That's true. That's a given. So now, what's the purpose? I want to help those younger ones. I want to help those women who are coming out of corporate. I know what that transition looks like. Downsizing, I know what that looks like. Going from 2 to 1, know what that looks like. Putting your children through school and running a business, not an easy thing. All of those things, I know what those transitions look like, because I lived it. So as you're thinking about your companies, as you're thinking about why you're here and what you're called to do, look at really what is the legacy behind it. That's it. If you look at it from a legacy perspective and then bring it all the way up to where you are right now, that is what the passion that will drive you to profitability, because you know it's not about you. When it's not about you, there is a whole level of opportunity. The largest funding that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I never even managed a company with the amount of funding I'm getting, okay? And so to be trusted, that's a level of humility, but also much fun. A lot of work, but so much fun. Enjoy that process. Enjoy every time we have a problem, it's not a negative, it's a challenge. We gotta make a shift. Make the shift. Whatever it is, do it. Don't get fuss about it or complain about it. And if people decide to contract you or not contract, don't get mad. They're not your client anyway. Really get focused on your communication to know who your client is, and you naturally have those conversations and are naturally drawn to them, or they're drawn to you. This whole week that I've been here with Karen and her different groups, I didn't come to do anything but to offer the training and whatever, and I left with clients. Incredible. But that happens a lot. Why? Because they hear what I have to offer, that's what they need, and vice versa. Now, I'm not here to look for that, but I'm just saying, while you're out, if you really focus in your niche market and you have your communication really clear, your clients hear you. Unless it's Randy, because, the watch, he don't have to say anything. Just, I like this here. That's $1 billion picture. That's really cool. But other than that, for the most part, be yourself. Be honest. Have your core values: integrity, honesty, authenticity. show up and be present 100% of the time. And you'll be surprised. It doesn't matter if your business is new or mature. You'll be surprised how many people will take time to invest in you. Florrie Roberts of Florrie Roberts Cosmetics, for those who don't know, she is a Jewish woman who set up a product for minority black women. She was on stage with Carol Channing, and the black women didn't have makeup, and her husband was a chemist. So she went home and asked him to make up some makeup, tested it with the ladies on Broadway, then decided to go test it in the hair salon, so forth and so on. $1 billion business. Okay, now, today, sold it, opened Dermablend. But she mentored me. I went to a conference similar to this, and she was speaking, and those things that she was talking about were actually my goals on my goal sheet. So I went and asked her to mentor me, and she did in niche marketing. That is the perfect person to mentor a woman or in business, because this is a woman who was on stage as an actress. And she was a businesswoman then, but for her in a totally different culture to create a product for another culture and then be that successful, I'm gonna follow her as long as I can. And I was so grateful that she offered me that opportunity. And she taught me niche marketing. Every year she would give me 2 strategies and have me work those strategies and find out how much money I made at the end of the year. And if I didn't make money with that strategy, why not? And it was so good because the times that we didn't, we realized those were not the strategies I needed to use for my business. So she would shift them for me. And I've had many successful people that everybody knows about and very private people that no one knows about invest in me without me even trying. My greatest was my grandmother, because she was a real estate broker back in the years where people of color, they were not only school teachers, nurses, so forth and so on, and she was always a businesswoman, always selling something. And she used to take me to the bank with her every Friday, getting her deposits. This is a funny story, it's a real story. So my sister wanted candy, and my mother didn't give her any money. She decides she's gonna write a crayon check and go up to Chase Manhattan Bank in New York and cash the check. And so she's about this little, hands them a check, and said she wanted to get money for candy. Long story short, the police brought her home. And you know that time how your mom is like getting ready to go to 1,000, but the cop was standing there laughing, so she couldn't go to 1,000. She's like, what did you do? How could you do? But long story short, because of what my grandmother taught us all the time, it was normal. We go on with real estate deals with my grandmother. And, oh, these 2 little girls, and she'd have us all dressed up and just talk to the people, just talk to them. Oh, we didn't know that we was helping her sell her, make a deal. And for her as a female, especially a minority female, selling in neighborhoods that we were not allowed to live in, that was a huge deal. And here's these 2 little black girls just, la, 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 grandma, nana, and all of this. And then Nana says, oh, it was a good day. I'm going to take you out to eat. We're going to do this, and we're going to go shopping and all of this. And we don't know any different. We have no clue. And, you know, all of those years with her was incredible for me. But then when she passed, and I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, my parents were like, oh, no, you're going to college, you're going to get a job, you're going to get married, and have kids, and work 30 years. That was what I was told, that baby boomer generation. Well, I did it all, and it didn't work, because that's not who I was. So for each and every one of you, who you are comes out through your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. And when you stay true to that, and you stay true to your purpose, and not all these other things everybody's telling you, then you're going to find that the fruit of that is you're going to be successful in everything you do. Everything. Whether you make money or you don't make money. You're always going to be successful. That's the reputation that draws investment, and draws opportunity, great relationships, all kinds of things. It draws the best in life to you. So I wish you much success. I pray that you trust yourself and believe in yourself first without anybody giving you encouragement. I know I got this. Not from a ego standpoint, but a confidence. If you made it this long on this earth doing what you're doing, you should be able to pick up an idea that you help people in corporate America do and make money, and take it and turn around and make it work for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
That's Paula Washington. She is the CEO, president of Paula Washington Enterprises and Design Your Life First Academy. Again, give her a round of applause, please.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. So we had Ben Young.
Yes, Ben Young, he was on Shark Tank. He was one of the highest grossing people who got funding for his idea, Swerk It,
Yeah, from Mark
which was
Cuban.
a fitness app.
Correct.
1.5 million, right?
1.5 million.
Amazing.
Yes. So he was on our show last April.
Last April.
Another one we were really impressed by, because one thing that Ben said was before he went on Shark Tank, he said, I already had investors. He
Right.
said, I went on Shark Tank out of publicity. He said, but I so
Kinda
happened to
what-
walk away with
right.
$1.5 million at
But
the
that
same
was kind of
time.
what Randy was saying.
Yeah,
Getting that
yeah.
marketing behind you before you actually market.
Right, right.
So that
he
was-
said the product was already
Right.
there. He took the opportunity.
The opportunity to
Yes.
market further.
Yeah.
Which got him that $1.5 million.
Correct, right.
But he's not able to be with us today because he has a travel thing that he's doing. But he left us with this quote. He said, when you have an idea or passion that just consumes you no matter what, you have to try to shelf it, take it off the shelf, keep coming back to it, and start it over.
Give him a round of applause, you all.
And hopefully the next time we do this next year, he can join us.
So as he said, I'm getting my hustle on. That was what his first part said.
That's what I was like, can you say something else, please?
He said, I'm getting my hustle on. I had to travel and get
Say
my
something
hustle
else.
on. So we respect the hustle, because that's why we ask CEOs to be
Right.
here. We respect the hustle.
Right. So now we have Natalia Olson-Urtecho. Urtecho, did I say it right? Okay, I didn't say it right, but she's going to say it for you. She's the former administrator of the US SBA.
Yes. And we interviewed Natalia probably last year as well. And
This time last year.
Yeah, we got like 30 minutes with her. It was so quick. But we got off of that call with her on the radio,
Inspired.
and we were so inspired by
Yes.
what she had to say. And then I looked up in November, right after this wonderful election that we had, and she wrote an article about women in business. We are the rule, not the exception. So welcome to the stage, Natalia.
It's awesome to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. And I remember that interview because I actually drove all over my region, and I stopped and I said, okay, I have to get on this call. And so just to let you know a little bit about me, I was the regional administrator for the SBA, the U.S. Small Business Administration. I lost my job on January 20th, very happily. I left with the president. It's just awesome times. But I was a former CEO. I started a couple companies, and when the White House asked me to come and join them, I said no many times because I was very excited about my company and we're doing some good things. And then the president was, well, we're going to be signing some really interesting legislation around small businesses. So we really need folks, and there are small business owners, to be part of this. And I said, okay. And just to let you know a little bit of what we've done in this administration, so people don't forget, it's really important for people, especially for small business owners, for women business owners, that we did a lot. We really did. And I miss the man, miss him so much. And you know, one of the things that we did together, and just this will lead a little bit more to my story, is that purpose, right? We have to make sure that whatever we do, we do it with purpose and we do it with passion. And this past administration did that. We worked so tirelessly to help women. You know, the president was raised by a single mom. He did so much right at the beginning, signing the Fair Pay Act, making sure that more women had better leave. The Affordable Care Act was a big labor of love. And we were, for the first time ever, be able to make sure that the government was a leverage, right? That women-owned businesses could sell to the U.S. government. And so the president signed off on making sure that 5% of everything we actually bought as a U.S. government, we would buy it from women-owned businesses. And that might not seem like a lot, but 5%, which we finally reached in 2015, meant $17.9 billion went to women-owned businesses. And out of the seven years that we, 8 years, but the first 7 years of the president's administration, the U.S. government was able to procure $117 billion went to women-owned small businesses. That is tremendous, because for the first time ever, we were able to make sure that women-owned businesses were actually at the table. And we did more than that. We actually made sure that women in disadvantaged areas, in hub zones, minority-owned women, that we had set aside. So we were able to give them that opportunity, be able for them to put money where in contracts where we can actually help more women business owners. So me, being a Latina, I grew up all over the world, especially in Latin America. I was told many times, I don't know if you're fit in here, you seem very foreign. I've always had a U.S. passport, but you grow up learning a lot of languages, you have an accent. But so for me, it was something very passionate. I wanted to go and help a lot more women, especially in the past administration, where they had a purpose and passion. We did, like I said, a lot. We increased our women business centers, and we were able to really have a great conversation and push the conversation, making sure that more women and folks in general had more opportunities for businesses, no matter the gender, no matter the ethnicity, race, religion, background, where you came from, and so on. So that's a conversation I want folks to remember, because I want you to get involved. Don't let this, this new paradigm we're in right now, don't let that bring you down. Make sure that you, like you said, come and help more folks, and make sure you pay it forward and help more entrepreneurs understand the opportunities in your community, especially local entrepreneurs, because the local entrepreneurs are the ones that stay in their communities, are the ones who give to that, those events, those fairs, the soccer practices, everything that happens in your community. The local businesses are the ones that are actually doing a lot more. So my story is, I started a couple companies. I was one of the few women in clean tech and energy. And I was new to Philadelphia, and I didn't know anyone. And I went to school and started meeting people. And I like to make cocktails, and I like to cook. And so I started inviting women over, once a month, and I made all these cocktails for women in energy. And then women in clean tech, and then women in water, and then all these, new type of disruptive businesses that were, this was 12 years ago, when we were disrupting an area. People thought that when I talked about energy efficiency, it meant hugging trees or something. And together in my home, and we went from 5 women to about 40 women. And to this day, even though I've moved from Philadelphia, they still get together, and they still have that purpose, that mind of helping each other and being able to push each other to make sure that they're not left alone, right? That they have a run for office, be in state government, be in local government, get a lot more involved, and so I'm very proud of that. And back to the question of, as you're building your business, right? Don't forget that you have to be able to help and be a role model, making sure that what you learn, you actually those businesses with you. I came in and I started a company, and it didn't go well. It's all right to fail, and it's amazing. I'll tell you this. And where I was born in Honduras, the second poorest country in this continent, and so my mother. One failure is not good enough. It's not that you don't fail. And you don't borrow money, all this stuff. But it's all right to fail. I actually met so many entrepreneurs, and I'm able to understand the mistakes you've done, and it's all right. And so I didn't do good. People to pay me, I have no shame anymore. I have some entrepreneurs here, no shame whatsoever. I'm a very charming nagger. So I'm very, very charming when I need to be. And so I took that lesson and I started another company. And you know, it takes I was with, because, you know, from making sure that we think differently. I was an urban planner, so I came in and I put some of my charrettes, those whiteboards that are so popular now. Well, I used to do that with paper and big pieces of paper, and talk to people about, let's think differently. We're in a way of doing things. I was on part of the legislation for crowdfunding. And gone through so quickly in the Jobs Act. But what we did was able to get entrepreneurs around the table. We started something called Philly Startup Leaders. We started something called this Green Economy. So we were we were business people, but we said we had to go ahead and be involved in some way or another. It's very close to my heart. When I was an administrator, I got all my district directors to be trained in crowdfunding, and I didn't get any money for it. And people would look at me strangely and say, "What's crowdfunding? I mean, really?" And but it helped a lot of businesses to think of an alternative finance way. So it's really important to note that, because I would travel to, like, you know, South Virginia to West Virginia to up to, you know, middle of New York, Buffalo, and people didn't understand what that was, this alternative type of financing. So I was bringing disruptive ideas. Don't be afraid to do that. You know, my first year in government, I honestly thought I was going to get fired. So I kept my little studio. I was not going to move anywhere, because I knew that if I brought different ideas, that I might get fired. That's an entrepreneurial way of thinking, right? We always think we're going to fail. It's just not going to happen. And so we kept at it. We brought new ideas. And then as an entrepreneur, I actually also became zoning commissioner and planning commissioner. And this, you know, Philadelphians were very shocked that how is this foreigner deciding on our zoning. And so it was a really interesting time. I went ahead and again brought new ideas. I was almost thrown off the Comcast towers by very, very pissed off developers, but it's all right, I'm still here. It was, you know, times that no matter what the challenges are, just keep thinking that it's all right to be different. It's all right to be disruptive. It's all right to bring new ideas, and don't be scared. Because that's what I think entrepreneurship really is. And I think for women entrepreneurs, I need for more women entrepreneurs to take that challenge, to not be afraid, to not have to take care of everything. And I think that we tend to be very much, we want to make sure everything's perfect, everything is, you know, solid, and everything is in place. And I've seen that in my years as administrator, because we were trying to get more women to borrow money. And women businesses, women entrepreneurs don't want to borrow a lot of money. And like we said before, you have to invest money to make money. And it's tough to borrow. I mean, for me personally, I'm not a fan, but there's other ways to get money. You know, we can get some investors. The SBA actually has an amazing program for bringing venture capital folks into the Impact Fund, which is a fund that was created to, you know, start Silicon Valley. It was a fund to be able to help areas in distress. It's a fund that helps, you know, women-owned companies, minority-owned companies, and we're asking VCs to do this. So there's ways to invest money, ways to make sure that we can actually invest money in your company. Don't be afraid to invest money. And it's important for more women to understand all the resources that we have today. We opened up more women business centers. We have 110 women business centers. We did partnerships with Microsoft, with American Express. We created programs, a Challenge Her campaign. Please look this up. There's ways for you to be able to, you know, get involved, do a pitch, get some money, get some grants. There's the Innovate Her campaign. There's a lot more campaigns today than there were, 10 years ago. We've worked really closely with a lot of foundations, the Kauffman Foundation, the Knight Foundation, creating global entrepreneurs as well, making sure that you were able to partner with business women all across the world. We created a program for global entrepreneurship. So opportunities are not just here; they're global. Today, we have we have Facebook, we have social media, we have ways to communicate across the world, and you can build relationships, and you can actually be able to sell to those countries. A lot of folks don't realize that we have amazing things. We still have a lot more to do to be able to help more entrepreneurs, but our don't mean their numbers, but it just makes me sad every day. My dad calls me. He's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But one of the things that is really, really important to understand that is that we do live in a company that cleans water, and for rural areas, Jersey, the Garden State, but the water in New Jersey is not so bad. Better markets for you. You have to think of Haiti, Honduras, Mexico, Brazil. Believe me, we had to boil the water back then, and we had to put pills in it, and just to be able to drink it. So there's ways for you to do this. The company decided, oh my God, that's not a bad idea. Today, 40%, 50% of the revenue is abroad. You have to actually paid by the U.S. government. So you sit in the capital of the free world. You sit in the middle of where the U.S. government lives. Make sure that you take advantage of that. We gave export grants to the different states, and for them to be able to pay for your trips, for you to be able to sell, to do your marketing, to do your website in other languages. So take advantage of the fact that you are sitting here and the world is. And I've met so many immigrant entrepreneurs, especially women who've come here with absolutely nothing. They come and study and they stay, and they've created jobs, 50, hundreds of jobs by immigrant women, which is important to notice because we have to keep open. We have to keep an open mind of the opportunities that these folks have. This country is made up of immigrants, parents, and so on. And we did a lot. We worked hard, and we were able to create great jobs for everyone. So making sure you embrace the global perspective, our brothers and sisters from all over the world, make sure that you're able to sell to them, okay? Because we do a lot of policing. We actually go out there in the world, and we have such a big army. We spend so much money in defense that we're trying to make sure that other countries are doing better, right? So at the same time, we have to make sure we sell to them too, because we're creating consumers. We're expanding the way of capitalism. So making sure that we think of that is really important. I can't emphasize enough how mentors, especially women mentors, and Paula, you had a really good point, having more women mentors, getting out there. We have a program, the U.S. government has a great program called SCORE, S-C-O-R-E, and there's 14,000 retired individuals. Not all of them are retired, but they're there to mentor you. Make sure that you actually reach out to women on LinkedIn. I always tell people, I used to give my phone number away. My staff was just like, no. My phone number away, my email, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And I've been a mentor in so many startups and so many incubators. We gave money to incubators. We gave money to accelerators. Make sure you connect with some of these incubators that are actually, getting more women to start businesses. So I want to make sure that in 5 years, I want to hear about your stories. I want to hear about women who actually have gone out there and started more businesses, because we are on the rise. During the administration time between 2008 and 2015, 27% rise we saw in women business ownership. That's tremendous. I mean, that's 36% of U.S. businesses that are not farm are owned by women. And so we were able to increase that and help the economy because more women were part of the conversation and were part of the workforce. These women alone, just within those couple years, the women businesses had receipts of $1.4 trillion. $1.4 trillion. That's tremendous. And I want to make sure that we see that double. Again, get involved. Hopefully, when I left the SBA, I told my staff hopefully it'll be a friendly business administration. But make sure that you communicate with your legislators. I can say that now. I didn't have to say that before. Make sure you communicate. Get involved with the community. I'm actually starting a new venture called the paper route. The reason I'm starting the paper route is because I want to help companies that actually have a purpose. I want to help companies that have been able to think outside the box. And I'm calling it the paper route because it turns out that most of successful CEOs had some kind of job when they were kids, be it a real estate grandmother, or I used to work at a hardware store since I was 7, or my grandfather. So many CEOs used to have paper routes at the age of 7, so they learned something. They learned certain skills. They learned certain values. And I want to make sure that those values and those skills are still ingrained in our children. Kids today, they don't even know what cash is. They know what a credit card is and what their cell phone is. But I want them to understand how important it is to be able to make money when they're young and understand the value of that. And that in itself, that's my new venture. I can't get away from helping businesses. I can't get away from starting something new. And so, again, I'm just excited to be here and be part of this conversation. And again, please reach out to me. Reach out to our speakers. I know they'll be very willing to help out. And it's important. I've learned something today from each one of the speakers. And so I want to take some of those ideas and be able to see how we can get more businesses excited, make sure we know how to rethink and disrupt, and again, help more women business owners be able to rise and shine and lead the way. Thank you again.
All right,
Thank you so
everybody.
much,
Thank you
Natalia.
again. Rethink Business Colloquium. We're going to now take questions. So all the speakers are going to come up here to the stage. We're going to take questions. Those that are kind of far back, if you don't mind moving up, we're going to
just
make
a
about
little bit so we can
15
hear
minutes
you.
at the most. Allow you all to ask them some questions before, they go on their way as well. So can we get those chairs too?
We can stand. We can stand. Yeah, yeah.
Let's pass that mic and then move on. Anybody got a question?
Hi, thank you all for coming and speaking today. I really enjoyed it and I got a lot here. My name is Afra, by the way. I wanted to ask Paula a question. You mentioned getting a contract that you were not ready for. How did you deal with being presented an opportunity that was greater than you were actually prepared to accept?
I was desperate at the time because I was new in business, so I took it. And then I said, I'll figure it out later, and it didn't end well. So that's it. So I learned from that, and so when I got another contract, I actually was prepared and ready for that. But at the time, I was just talking, and I was selling. I was looking for business wherever it was coming from, and that's just the truth.
We did some stats and we collected some data. It turns out that people who actually got assistance from a mentor or from business planning or some kind of development center or economic center, their rate of success 70% higher. Because my mother used to say, "Con una luz nadie se pierde." With a little bit of light, you will find your way. So it's a little bit of guidance. Don't think you know everything. But trust me, I thought I knew everything. I had the degrees. I had, I was the smartest person. Nah, but I failed. So
Claro, thank you.
Anybody else?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. My name is Florence Navarro. Until recently, I was the head of Empowered Women International, which is a local nonprofit here who works a lot with small women entrepreneurs, and they offer mentoring. And my question is for Mr. Williams and Ms. Washington. I've worked with a lot of solopreneurs. I really liked what you said, Paula, about how to move from solopreneurs to entrepreneurs. But there is a time when you are completely overwhelmed, where you don't know how to prioritize and you don't have time, you risk your health, you risk everything. How do you get from solopreneur to entrepreneur?
That's a great question. And that's something that I've gone through recently from being a one-man band. I always come back to the fact that McDonald's is run by teenagers. Multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's run by teenagers, but why? Because of the systems. The systems are so easy that anybody can do it. So for a solopreneur, your task going into that business should be to set up those systems, even if it's just a checklist on this is how we respond to people on social media, something that simple. Set up those systems and checklists so that you can pass it to anybody with minimal training. You can show them how to do it. And like she said, you start with those tasks that are just administrative in nature that anybody can do. So that's what I would suggest. Just go into it with a system mentality and knowing that, hey, I should structure it in a way that I can plug anybody into it and that can continue to run, and you can focus on the vision for your business.
And I would say get a coach. You're investing in yourself. When you get a coach and you work with a business coach, executive coach, whatever their title is, that person is there for you. That complete hour is only focused on you, by yourself. Because I understand what you're saying, you're balancing all these different things, we get the systems in place, but I, as the leader, feel uncomfortable. I'm not, I got all these things going on in my head. Get a coach and that would help you. A mentor would help you, but see, mentors sometimes don't walk you through the process, but a coach will walk you through the process to transformation.
I have one quick thing to add, just to go back to my notion of running experiments. It's great we live in a gig economy, so you don't have to hire somebody and get them full-time and benefits, right? And try them out. They want to try you on, you want to try them, and hire someone that is totally different from you, right? You don't need to be both having the same skill set. When I came in, I was the 4th employee. We're 16 now. I was completely different from our founder, right? He's a visionary, and I'm like, who's paying the bills? Where are the trains? To your point of the systems, you have to have those. We were lockstep in our values, but we were totally different in how we approached. I was usually like, I don't think that's going to work. And he was like, we can do anything. And that was a really good partnership, too.
Anybody else?
Let's start off. So my question is, how do you go? I'm kind of picking off back what you started with. A lot of times when you're in that transition from solopreneur into entrepreneur, I know you already spoke to this, actually both of you guys did, where you struggle to get paid for the work that you're doing. Especially, he will say, follow your passion, do what you love to do. I'm like, great. So who's gonna pay me for that? Who's gonna pay me to fundraise for this cause? Who's gonna pay me to do what I do? And so, with what I'm doing right now, it is a business. I'm getting it up there. I'm in media, and so I'm really trying hard to sell advertising space, but it's hard to do that when it's in the beginning. I don't have the 10,000, 800,000 followers. I can't prove to them that their advertising money is gonna turn into more buyers. And so to get things like sponsorships, how to get larger funders, and in general, how do you just get someone to just cut me a check blank and say, yes, do what you need to do with this, I believe in what you're doing, and go ahead. Or even what you were saying before, when I work with other businesses, I just feel a lot of the time I'm just trying to squeeze blood out of stones, because I'm working with other small businesses who are in the same financial boat as I am, but they're actually paying their bills, but they're not gonna stop paying their bills so I can just start paying mine. So how do I get, how do you get to that place where you really are funding yourself while doing what you love to do?
Well, it takes time to get to that place because, one, you have to design your niche market. Your client will recognize you when you've established the right conversation. And that is designing your clients for the different products or services you're selling. And when you're confident in that, and once you understand exactly who your client is, because everybody is not your client, and create a free market space for what you do and how you do it, that person will hear you, and automatically it won't be a question of how, am I gonna pay you? It's send me an invoice. And so you have to get to a place where you're able to articulate and your client can hear who you are and hear what they need. And that comes from you, and that comes from niche, creating those niche markets and those conversations, and that's the communication side of it. And then also, with your pricing strategy, stick to your pricing strategy. I know I have been, and this isn't a good thing, but it was part of growing up, I have been desperate at times because, the baby needs this needs that, and I'm doing it by myself. So I took clients I shouldn't have because I needed money. I don't do that anymore, haven't done it in a long time, but you have to step away from that when you want to actually go into true entrepreneurship and not operate from that emotional place. Those people that are getting paid around you, they're getting paid, but are they one-off clients or are they long-term? You look at what your niche market is for short-term clients and then your anchor clients that hire you for a year or 18 months and so forth and so on. And you create that plan and you stick to it. Regardless of what it is, we're not doing discounts because people who come to you and ask for a discount don't have money. So that's not your client. And you walk away. And you wish them well, go to my website, there's a few little tidbits up there on my blog or whatever, and that's it. Because you won't draw that conversation if you're not open to those type of people. And that's a growth process. It takes time for that. You want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to that. It's very difficult to generalize because every business is different. That's something where your coach comes in as well, business coach. I do have a business coach as well. But I would say to this, I would suggest looking at your business structure and taking a look at your numbers to determine what number you have to get to in order for you to get paid. Because a lot of businesses in the first couple of 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years, the owners don't take salaries right away. But you have to know what you have to achieve. A lot of people don't have that end goal in sight. Well, when I get here, this is when I'll be able to start drawing a salary. And also, like she said, looking at your customers. Maybe you're going after the wrong customers if they don't have the funds to pay you. Or you need to switch your whole business structure up to do something different to service the people that you're trying to service. Offer them something else that may be, for example, some people have done a monthly subscription service, which is a little bit more manageable for people. Okay, you just pay $59 a month. I know you're not able to pay me $1,000 right now. Just pay $59 a month for the rest of the year, and I can provide this service to you. It's just a suggestion.
And I got another one, quick one. Know the industry you're in, because like my industry, I know goes from March to October, and that's it. So in that, I have 5 revenue streams. Create those other revenue streams that can offset and balance out when your industry is slow. Because you can't just have one product and service as a solopreneur trying to get to entrepreneur. Whether my businesses make money or not, I'm always paid because I have other things working. I don't depend on the business to support me. And so when you start to change your framework and how you think and how you organize your organization and your company and yourself, it starts with you, then things will start to automatically expand and open up and give you a level of understanding.
Anybody else?
Yes, it was a great presentation. Thank you, guys. I just wanted to know if you would be willing to share what was your biggest challenge, your toughest spot, and how you overcame it.
So many, right? There's never just one. At every stage of business, at every stage of business, 1 to 5 years, that stage is not going back and get a job, okay? Because at the time I started, we had fax machines and the phone and mail and all of these things. And so when none of that was moving and I'm sitting in the office and I'm looking at what I have to make and it's not coming in, those first 5 years is I want to go back and get a job because that's what I know. That's what we know. The 5 to 10 years, sustainability. Okay, is this a real idea or isn't it? It starts with the individual because see, we as a leader, we believe in who we are and what we do, but when that starts to test us and to test that vision, we get nervous. Now we'll go out there and you wouldn't even know that we were nervous. Oh, but we're thinking about, all of these things that are going on. So each stage in your business is really led by your personal growth and strength and confidence within yourself to continue. There are many stories of failures which actually keep us going because it's the failures that we get back up again. I remember one time, like I was telling you, I was in the hospital typing the new business plan. Why was I typing a new plan? Because the other one didn't work. But I'm not going to get a job because at that time, I'm 10 years in, I'm not going back in 9 to 5 anymore. They wouldn't even want me in there because it's like, I'm like, ooh, I couldn't do it. So to keep from getting the job, we had to come up with a new idea.
not making payroll, because you have the responsibility to pay your employees who have children and have, people to feed. That, for me, was always a very, very tough part. That's where I lost all shame. And I would actually go to the clients because they would keep telling me, oh, the check is in the mail. I'm like, no, you're going to print this check right here. And I'll sit right here for an hour, 2 hours, it's fine. So you have to, you really learn a lot of your strength, inner strength. But I'll give you another story. The other day, a couple months ago, we gave Kevin Plank, who started Under Armour. I know a lot of you guys know Under Armour. So Kevin, so I asked him this question, when was your worst time? What was it made you cry? I actually want to write a book about these times. He said he had only a couple $1,000s, and he got an SBA loan for $17,500, and he's now a $5 billion company. And he had a couple $1,000. He wasn't gonna make payroll. He went to Ocean City and gambled it. And he thought he was gonna come back with more money. Nope. He didn't have, so he's crossing over the Bay Bridge, big bridge, and he gets to the toll, realizes he doesn't have a quarter in his pocket. He's scrambling around his car, trying to find nickels and dimes to try and figure out how not to pay the toll. It's a tough, we all go through that, but it's the perseverance that really gets you.
Natalia, actually, the same one. It's not being able to pay people, right? I mean, that's the worst part of not being on your own, or you've accepted the risk that I can, this is my limit, this is how much I can get paid. But when you have 16 people that their livelihoods depend on you, that's when you really start to be mindful of that. Some of the ways that we've tried to compensate for that as an organization is the reason I joined is our founder said he wanted to run a radically open firm. Everybody sees the payroll, everybody sees the bank accounts every week. And with that, we need a lockstep communication plan and strategy where everybody knows exactly where they fit in and how they're contributing. And they have a lot of autonomy in the ways they do that to the bottom line, right? So you got to have that open communication with people if you're going to run a small business and sort of say we're in this together, right? And really empower people to be a part of that. That's why they join a small business. They don't want to just sit there and kind of crank away the day. They really want to create something new. So give them the space to do that, but be really clear about where everything is every day. And when you have to make tough choices, you're in it together. So.
It's not for everyone. No, it isn't. It isn't. Either you're born an entrepreneur or not. And those that are not born entrepreneurs but like that environment, go work for one. Because then you don't have to carry the vision on your shoulders, but you're a great person that's enterprising. And one of the things that I did, like she said, regarding payroll, because I had other revenue streams, I paid it. I did it. I kept it going. And I took it out of my reserves. Now, I only did that when it was worth it. I never did it when it wasn't, because I had to take care of my household. But never took a salary, because I had other things. But you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to sacrifice. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Are you willing to do it?
Oh, my biggest challenge, because like yourself, thanks to the gig economy, I work with a lot of people who are independent and freelancers. So I don't have full-time employees. So if I don't have the money to pay them, I can't hire. I can't work with them. But my personal biggest challenge was, getting laid off from my job. I was just double dipping for so long, but getting laid off from my job while my wife was 4 months pregnant, and having to decide, am I going to go back to 9 to 5 or am I going to try to continue my business? So that's my biggest challenge.
One more question.
That's real life. That's what happens all the time. One last question.
And back again. So my other question, and Brandy, you might really be able to help answer this, but all of you. Starting with an idea and actually moving from there, I think that's the biggest challenge, especially when you're talking about something like a product, not a service, but something tangible. That's a really great idea that you may not have any experience in. Like, I don't know if you grew up working with watches, or, like, are descendant from watchmakers from many years, or even worked in a watch shop. So when you have an idea that's very different from, I guess, your experience, but it's just something that you see as a very obvious challenge or problem that you have a great idea or solution for. You're not a watchmaker, you're not an engineer. How do you take that idea, especially with no resources? How do you take that idea, find the resources, and get things moving? Because you guys have talked about small business loans and coaching and things, all things that I think most people probably are in some type of business and then save. I don't know. This is the idea. Like have spent this time figuring something out for years and then finally get to this place. And every time I've gone to something like this, especially with innovators, they are saying, I had nothing. I was, I just had this great idea and I was able to actually go forward on it because I had nothing else that I could really focus in on. So if you guys, I don't know, maybe have something to share on that side, because that part seems to always be missing in every conversation I have. There's like some missing piece.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, no, I didn't have any experience, and I run into a lot of people who didn't have any experience. The way you overcome that is through smart people. Have an entrepreneurial mindset. I mean, how many times have you gone to a business or either worked for a business where the boss didn't know how to do half of the stuff in the company? They're detached from it, and they should be. They're the vision people. So you go and you hire the expert talent that you need. So if you have a product that needs to be designed, go hire a designer. You go to Elance, you go to Upwork, and you go hire a designer. And then you go work with the manufacturer who has made watches before, or whatever your product is, or something similar. And you work with these experts. You get a lawyer along the way to help you with your patent process. So you just have to connect with all of these people who are experts in what they do, instead of you taking 10 years to try to become an expert in that. But that is easy nowadays. We have to realize that we're in a great economy. We're in the best time to start a business. The amount of information that's available for free and at your fingertips through Google University, YouTube University it's there. You just have to be willing to put in the time. When I was building my business, I stopped taking, we were talking about this earlier, I stopped taking lunch breaks. I just stayed at my desk, ate at my desk, and worked on my business. And when I got home, I worked again until 12, 9 to 5, and then you're 5 to 9. You have time if you're willing to devote to it. So that's the asset that you have to use the most. When you don't have the money or the expertise, use the time to find out who knows how to do this so I can put it together.
And I would say 75% of entrepreneurs don't have the money. And the reason we're entrepreneurs is because we know how to take nothing and make it into something. Put together a plan. You can sit down. If you're working, keep your job. Keep the job. Keep the job. Take 10 or 20% of what you make, sacrifice all those lattes and all that other stuff, and take that and put it into your business. Launch the LLC so you get the tax write-offs every year, along with building the company, and create the business plan. Put the things together that are necessary to put a structure on paper of a vision that other people can follow. And then this way you will know the stages of development that you're at, and when you should move here, when you should move there, and what you should do. Because if you have money, you'll waste it. Because you don't really know the process. You don't really know the opportunity in front of you. So you really have to start with nothing in order to build something.
I would add too, a lot of the work we do is with big organizations. So there's no lack of expertise about their thing, right? Kimberly-Clark knows how to make a paper product. No doubt about it. That is the biggest hindrance to them doing anything innovative. Because they've tried it, it's failed, that won't work, I know better, this is right. Again, like if Marriott, imagine Marriott sitting around the table being like, how do we compete against people who let each other sleep on their couches? They're like, we have zero expertise, and now we got to figure that out, right? And so we find that actually comes in the way of really having that beginner's mind of listening to your customers. That's being obsessed with their problem, not the idea, not what you think is cool, not what 10 years of research in the watch and this gadget's going to do. It's like, what's people's problem out there? And then go ask them and figure out a way to solve it. And you're probably better at that because you don't know it than somebody who does. Because they're like, I heard this, that's not happening. That's actually not the real problem. I know better. You're in the best spot you can to really drive it. If you just look around your world and be like, who's suffering for whatever that means to them, and then they're like, what do you think about this? What is this? Is this about? Even things in your own life? God, it's so annoying when they're trying to do this. You're probably better off not having that expertise. And if you wait to have all your ducks in a row, it may never happen. So again, time box it. Say, this is a cool problem. I'm going to give myself 30 days and $500 and see if I can at least move forward with, even just a little bit of traction on something.
Do your homework and make sure you use the resources that you have. I mean, you have free people helping you do that business plan. And I can't emphasize enough, as soon as you do a financial plan, believe me, that idea is going to change completely. Oh, okay? Absolutely. Okay, what amazing idea you have. You start plugging those numbers into the Excel sheet, trust me, it's a different conversation. So it's always do that.
All right, everybody give them a round of applause. I thank these people so much for their time, not only on the radio show when they've been with us, but here at the, no, you all stay here.
Thank you. Stay.
So we want to, again, thank We Act Radio.
We Act Radio.
Without
Thank
them,
you.
we wouldn't have a radio show.
Exactly.
So
We wouldn't have the platform to do our actual radio show.
yeah,
Behind
which
the
is
Line radio
live
show,
every Friday at
which is why
11
we're here.
a.m.
Exactly.
And then Tuesday, we replay at 7 p.m. So if you're not listening to the show, please tune into the show.
Please.
We have these wonderful people who are on the show and many other wonderful people that we have on the show every Friday who love talking about design and business and how the two collaborate together to think differently. So we want to conclude the ReThink Business Colloquium again, thanking We Act Radio, Impact Hub DC, and WACIF for being our partners. And
thank you.
Everyone who tuned in on YouTube, again, thank you. And
Twitter. Thank you.
For all the tweeting, a lot of people tweeting and asking questions, and couldn't necessarily get to all of them, but we
but next time.